Nerd World Order Broadcast. Dinosaurs connected. Initiating broadcast signal in
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies, gentlemen, and knights of the Nerd World Order, this is the Nerd World Order broadcast. I'm the man that you call Dukes, and to my right, here comes the...
Booyah, what's up? It's your boy, baby.
And to my other right, weighing in at 178 adamantium-filled pounds, Alfonso X-Man Flores.
Yeah, I believe it was Jamie Madrox, the multiple man, that once said, "It takes two to make a thing go right."
I think that was Rob Bass.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, ladies, gentlemen, and knights of the Nerd World Order, today we are going to be discussing the entire Predator franchise. We, like many of you, recently watched Prey, and so we wanted to ask the question, did Prey save the Predator franchise? So in order to do that, we have to jump into all the Predator movies. We're going to jump all the way back to the one that came out in theaters most recently before Prey, which was back in 2018, The Predator. We're going to go all the way back to that Schwarzenegger classic, compare them all, and then ask the question, did Prey save the Predator franchise? There will be spoilers, so ladies, gentlemen, and knights, let's get into this spoiler-filled conversation about Prey. Alfonso, let's start us off. What was your first exposure to the Predator franchise, and are you a fan of the franchise?
You know, I am a fan of the franchise. My first exposure, of course, was the classic because, I'm an old man. Arnold Schwarzenegger, back then watched everything with Arnold Schwarzenegger, every single thing, and I was not disappointed with Predator. As far as the other movies, Saw 2, the others, not so much. But I really wanted to. I'm busy having kids. It was weird.
Well, then this is going to be a fun discussion because there were actually 4 other movies before Prey. So I hope you did your research on TikTok because that always makes for a lot of fun. Joe, TikTok master, what's your feelings on the Predator franchise? What was your first exposure as well?
They're hit and miss. So there's a few that I dug, and then there's a few where I'm like, it's okay.
And what was your first exposure to the Predator franchise?
Pretty much same as Alfie, dude. Like when we were growing up, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. Then you had Von Damme. Then you had Steven Seagal. Basically, those are the guys who were doing all the action movies. Almost had a monopoly on it. So, like before it was HBO Max, it was HBO. Remember with that little cable box, you'd flip it. You had A and B to go up more channels. But that's when I watched The Predator was on HBO, just because it had, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I thought that movie was awesome. It was a different take on an alien that was camouflage and basically a human with no weapons at all trying to kill him. So I thought that was pretty cool. Because, I mean, even though he had weapons, they weren't weapons that did any damage to him, really.
So my first exposure was a little bit different than Joe's. I wasn't one of those rich kids, as I often say. I did not have cable. I didn't have the AB switch. I had to go to the movie theater. And so like I was saying, I watched it in the movie theater. I didn't know what to expect. I was a Schwarzenegger fan. That's all I needed to know. Was that big Russian guy was in the movie. And then I saw something. I thought he was the thing that looked like a ghost. I was like, ghosts in the forest. The big Russian guy's a ghost. I'm watching it. That's all I had to know. So And then when I watched the movie, of course, I come out and I'm just like, man, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. And after that, I've just been a Predator fan ever since. To Joe's point, they're hit or miss. You love some, you hate the others, but either way, you still have to watch them. Shout out to Replica Pro Collector and also Amanda. Thanks both of you for listening live in the Nerd World Order broadcast. Replica's first watch of The Predator was a VHS rental as a kid. That was actually first movie, so that's pretty cool. I saw it in the theater. Joe watched it on HBO with the AB switch. You guys ready to get into the Predator franchise? Talk about the movies that Alfonso didn't watch but knows everything about because of TikTok.
Do it.
Okay. So here we are in my best announcer's voice, which is how I normally sound anyway. Here is the 6th Predator movie. It's called The Predator. Came out in 2018. The premise was when a young boy accidentally triggers the universe's most lethal hunters return to Earth. Only a ragtag crew of ex-soldiers and a disgruntled, bitter scientist can prevent the end of the human race. So that was pretty much that. First question. We know Alfonso didn't watch it. Joe, did you see this garbage?
Yeah, it was hot. It was a hot mess. I think they were. So basically, Alfie, the way it is like there was basically whenever technology gets over to humans, kind of, they send another predator, like a really good one, to come there to take care of their technology so no one can get a hold of their technology. So basically, one of the predators was trying to help the humans develop technology so they can be better adequate to fight predators. And that's why they had that little robot predator, aka Iron Man Predator.
That we all saw on TikTok.
Nah, I saw that actually not on TikTok.
Well,
In the movie theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching the movie and wanting to like it. But
Yeah.
what ruined it for me was at the end of the movie when they brought out the Iron Predator. I'll just call it the Iron Predator because it just looks so silly, and it was kind of like everybody's been beating Predator for years, with sticks. Danny Glover beat him with his own weapon.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. And so now you have to get an Iron Predator. It's just horrible. It was too much. So I did not care for The Predator. So if I had to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, a nerd flag. If I had to give it a nerd flag, it gets 0 nerd flags. It actually got 5.3 stars out of a possible 10.
Wow.
Any additional thoughts on The Predator?
I'm totally gonna watch it. It's so funny. I forgot how many Predator movies I didn't watch, and I enjoyed the whole concept of it. It's a lot of fun, but I want to watch it. I'm curious. I love when movies are that bad, and I know because then I go on with little expectations.
Yeah.
I think you'll probably catch up on them all, Alfonso, and be very, very unimpressed. Anonymous Facebook user says, Prey should have been in theaters. I agree.
Mhm.
It should have been. In fact, I would be willing to watch it if they re-released it in theaters for like 1 week only, in Dolby. I'd be like, dude, I'm going right now. I'm going to see that midnight showing.
There's
How
a
about
reason.
you guys?
Well, there's a reason why it wasn't in the theaters.
You can explain that when we get to the end?
Sure.
Save for the end? Okay, ladies and gentlemen and knights, you got to stay tuned because Joe's going to drop some knowledge on us. So, which means we got to get through this and move on to the 5th Predators movie. 8 years before The Predator, we had Predators starring Adrian Brody. Now, this was a group of elite soldiers. They parachute into an unfamiliar jungle and are hunted by members of a merciless alien race. Joe, you actually saw the movie. Thoughts?
I think it was trying to rekindle the first Predator movie. That's why it was in the jungle, and they try to have a bunch of different type of killers that the Predator deemed as worthy foes for them to try to kill. And so, I mean, I thought it was pretty good, but it was better than Hey, the predators, the predators, the predators. There's so many. They can't even think of a better name. You know, you just call it Predator 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5. But no, I guess you don't want to do it that way. But it was better than the 2018 version. I thought they
Yeah.
would have did better to do a sequel to this one than to do an Iron Man Predator.
So I got a question for you. How many Predators does it take to get you an S at the end of your Predator? I mean, how many did they have in that movie? You counting? You're like, there was
No, I mean, one predator's a predator.
well,
Mhm.
that's-
Once you have another predator,
Yeah,
it's
there's more
predators.
predators. So there was more than one predator in the Predators, bro. Thus the name the Predators.
right,
Alfie.
right. How many? How many do we have? That's I was trying to think of a funny way. To
If
ask
you
that.
have more than one, it's plural, bro.
I understand. I understand.
You're killing me.
But
You're killing
How
me.
many-
bro.
in the movie, how many different Predators were there? Was there like a whole Power Ranger team, like a blue one, a green one, a brown one? Like, there's no brown one.
No, so basically there was two different type of predators. Rashawn says 5.
Oh,
There was two different predators. They call them one's a super predator. So one of them was a really big predator, and the other one's a small one.
And there's Predator Jim, Predator Bob, Predator.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
there's a bunch of them. Rashawn, what's up, Rashawn? Coming in, the maestro, the man known as Clutch, comes in clutch to let us know that there were 5 predators. See, that's the sort of information we need, and that's why we call him Clutch. So let's move on to the next movie. That is going to be, this is when they went for all the money, right? They had ruined it once, so they tried to do it again. Like, hey, we ruined it once, let's do it over. Back in 2007, getting 4.6 stars. Aliens versus Predator Requiem. That's right, let's do it again. Hey, everybody, you thought it was bad the first time, Requiem. So, what Requiem was about is warring alien and predator races descend on a rural Colorado town when because aliens just hate Colorado. Where unsuspecting residents must band together for any chance of survival. Yeah, and it was starring Greg Strauss and Colin Strauss and Greg Strauss were the directors. The star was Rico Ellsworth, Stephen Pequal, and John Ortiz. Yes, we don't know who any of those people are. So yeah, Aliens versus Predator, Requiem. Did you see that one, Alfonso?
I did not. So by the fact that there's a colon and a Requiem, does that mean there was a previous Alien versus Predator?
Yes.
We're getting
Yes.
to it, man. Don't get all excited.
This happened twice. It sucks because I like the franchise. I like both of the franchises. I don't know how I missed these. I mean, it must have just been a tough time in my life.
Or a very enjoyable time in your life, depending on what you say is the reason why you missed all those movies.
That could have been it. That seems
Yeah.
like more
Yeah. So let's see here. Moving on to Joe, what were your thoughts on that one?
You think like with those two different types of movies together it'd be pretty good, and actually it wasn't. I would appreciate Aliens versus Predators if they didn't have humans in it, because I remember they came out with a video game years ago with that, and I always thought it would be interesting if they did a movie with those two species as opposed to humans being in it, and take that out of the factor at all, and just have those two go at it. I would have enjoyed that a lot more.
It's interesting because I feel like in Hollywood they have to have certain formulas, like,
Mhm.
oh, let's make a love story, let's have a kid who's in danger, and I feel like you have to have humans. I agree with you. It would have been way cooler without humans, but I feel like they're like, oh, if we don't have humans, no one's going to watch it. Well, no one watched it anyway because it sucked.
True that.
But I agree with you 100%, bro. It would have been much better if it was just aliens
Mhm.
fighting predators. It could have even still been in Colorado, okay?
Yeah.
Because, like, there probably no one in Colorado would have noticed the difference.
I mean, I'd have been okay if it was in Colorado and aliens were just killing the humans, and then the predators came in and just took care of the aliens without the humans helping at all. It's the same thing with King Kong versus Godzilla, bro. I'm not trying to see no humans. I want to see King Kong against Godzilla. So I mean,
Yeah.
even now today, they're still doing that type of stuff.
Yeah,
I was-
I agree 100%, bro. 100%. I agree. Okay, ladies, gentlemen, and knights. So somebody asked a question. Well, first of all, our anonymous Facebook user says AVP was cool. Requiem was not. Some folks are going to disagree with that. Let's see here. So let's throw it out. Wait, first of all, Alfonso, are you playing the game yet?
Okay, so I haven't. No, not yet. I still haven't seen it. I read the comics. I remember reading the comics. The comics were really sweet. I don't think they had much humans in it. There was just aliens versus Predator, which I appreciated. But being that I live in Southern California and you gentlemen live in Southern California, maybe you've noticed this as well. The Disneyland annual pass holder sticker on people's car, you know, that oval one that they have, there's an A for annual and a P for pass, but in the middle is a Mickey Mouse. And it almost looks like a V. So every time I see that, I think AVP. Sorry.
And
That's
there we
sad.
go. What we got out of that is Alfonso didn't watch this movie either.
No,
But
but basically, it's more entertaining than these movies.
That's true. That's true. I think now every time I see that annual pass, I'll think to myself, Aliens versus Predator.
Yeah.
Joe, what'd you think of ABP?
you know,
So basically, Alfie, this is the way the story is. There's the Predators have been around since the beginning, and they helped the humans build pyramids. And in the process, they had the humans worship them as gods. So they showed them technology to build the pyramids. And at the same time, they had the alien queen that they would freeze and keep them in there. So whenever they're called the young blood. So basically, it's the young predators that have to earn the right to be a predator and earn the value of having the gun on their shoulder, the laser gun. So basically, what they do is the young bloods come down, they start the process, and they hunt down the aliens. And if they're able to kill the aliens, they're able to they take the blood and they put the initials of their clan on their forehead, which shows them so they can graduate to be a predator. So basically, the humans figured a way to get in the pyramid, right? And when they got the pyramid, they basically started the process and triggered the traps to start the process of the aliens being hatched and born. So therefore, you have the aliens, they're fighting the humans, and the humans fighting the predators. So basically, that's what that movie is about.
that doesn't sound like a bad movie. It was just, well, poorly done.
Well, yeah, because it has humans in it, bro. So basically, this is the one that this is the one that anonymous Facebooker says he likes this one because it was a lot better than the Requiem. So basically, the way they ended, spoilers. Basically, the way the movie ended was when the human helped the last predator, which is Scar. There was 3 brothers. I don't remember the other 2 names, but Scar was the main one that was with the human. Helped kill the alien queen. But in the process of the movie where he was fighting one of the hatchlings, I don't know what they're called. Basically, when they put their faces on humans and they put eggs in their body. Basically, got a hold of Scar and put it in Scar's body. So basically, he becomes an alien predator. So at the end of the movie, they help kill the queen. Predators, just like Predator 2, they come down. There's a bunch of them, and they give her the staff that they have. That staff that they use to kill things. And basically, they take the body away, and that's where Requiem picks up at. So basically, he hatches into the alien predator, kills everybody on board, and then that spaceship crashes in Colorado. And so that's where Requiem comes in from. And then they send another predator, which is named Wolf. They send that guy out because they have certain type of predators, and that's a predator that if anything bad happens, they send that guy out to go take care of business. And that's where that alien comes from. The alien comes in, and then, yeah, it sounds malarkey, right? The more I talk about it, it just doesn't sound good. It just sounds boring.
It's like Pulp Fiction. Man, send in the wolf. That's all you had to say.
Yeah. So basically, he goes in, and then blows up everything, and at the end of the day, blows up everything, and then the technology's lost again.
Even though Joe's description of that was just confusing. It made I'm like I'm glad Joe's explaining this because I don't remember any of that. All I remember is pyramids and people setting off traps and running away
Yeah.
from aliens. But the way that Joe described it, I was actually kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, because they basically froze the queen, and so whenever it's like Indiana Jones, they step on a thing and it triggers a trap. So basically, the pyramid starts shifting every few seconds and goes around, and so the three predators are supposed to hunt the aliens, but the humans jacked everything up and saw the weapons. Are like, hey, let me grab the weapons. So now the predators have no weapons. But basically, you can see the predators because they're young bloods. That's what they're called. They're not as good as the predator that was in the jungle with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so they have to earn their right to kill and get their weapons, which is the gun. And if they don't prove themselves, they can't get it.
Totally watching this.
Yeah,
Joe-
what Sean said, is that the chick, the black chick and the predator almost kissed? Pretty much. That's the one, dude. That was in Requiem. Yeah.
That was in Requiem.
Yeah, it was in Requiem. Yeah.
Wow. Joe's knowledge of the Predator movies is like he's killing it. He's like our he's our resident Predator expert now. Okay, Joe.
Yeah.
Joe was holding back on us this whole time. He's like, this will be my day. Yeah. I thought this movie was hot garbage. There's nothing I can say about this movie that I liked. I was excited. To me, I feel like there's two franchises everybody wanted to see. There was sort of like hints that they should overlap at some point. All the nerds were just out there like, oh my God, it's finally going to happen. And then they gave us the garbage that they gave us. And I was just like, disappointed.
Yeah.
However, a lot of people did like Predator 2. Now, here is the synopsis of Predator 2, which came out in 1990. TikTok, think about how far back on the clock that is. The Predator returns to Earth. For some reason, it's the same Predator. That's what it says, but it's not. We know that. The Predator returns to Earth, this time to stake a claim on a war-torn streets of a dystopian Los Angeles. Wasn't it regular Los Angeles, not dystopian Los Angeles? Wasn't it just like 1990 Los Angeles?
I'm pretty sure all Los Angeles is dystopian.
You got a point there, X.
Yeah, but if you remember, these fools are like shooting cops and blowing up buildings in regular.
Yeah.
LA.
And then you had Mark Briggs, he had the guy jump out. Oh wait, no, that was Lethal Weapon.
You probably haven't seen that one either, Alfie.
Okay, this is Alfonso's moment. He said he's actually seen Predator 2.
Nice.
Yeah, so what do you think, Alfonso?
Predator 2. I have seen it, and since we're around the same time frame, I'm going to pull my Ollie North and be like, I have no recollection of these events. I know I've seen it, but I cannot recall. I know Danny Glover was in it, and I know Mel Gibson was not. So I know he was getting too old for this, but that's about all I got there, man. For a while, I'm like, man, Arnold Schwarzenegger had a hard time killing one of these, and Danny Glover comes out with his police special, and he's like, kapow, and it's gone. I don't remember how it happened, but.
So I'm going to go out on a limb. I might be wrong. Just admit you didn't see this one either, Alfonso.
I do. I just don't remember it. I don't know why. That's so weird. I must not have liked it.
Well, we have some pretty good thoughts. Alfonso says that the best line in the movie was "All right, who's next?" I thought that was I didn't like this movie at all. I'm just going to tell you, Rashawn, right now. I didn't like this movie at all. Therefore, I did not like that line. Amanda wants everybody to know that LA is her hometown. And Replica Pro Wrestler says it was actually set in 1997. So the movie came out in 1990, and apparently 7 years later, people are shooting cops. Which, okay, that part, yeah, but and blowing up buildings. Okay, so 7 years later, and it's holding up fine. Yeah, I guess I guess 7 years. They called it, blowing up buildings and shooting cops. 7
Mhm.
years, all that's happening. Um, Joe, what do you think of the movie that you can actually talk about?
Hey, Rashawn, I kind of like that line. All right, who's next? Come on, dude. Like, you just killed a predator, bro, and there's like a bunch of them around you. Like, you would say that, like, all right, who's next? Like, you're not gonna. He's not gonna give up because he was like a hardcore cop. So basically, these predators are called city predators, and all they do is That's why there was a bunch of them in there, but they don't hunt together. So one of them. That's why one of them was the hunting the whole time. So basically, the reason why I think it didn't do too well and everyone was disappointed is because no one's trying to see Danny Glover, bro. Where's Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Right.
You know what I mean? But you remember at that time when they would do sequels, they came out with like sequels without the original characters a lot,
Yeah.
and then they would be like, oh, like no one's gonna care, like, and then you look back today, you're like, dude, we did care, and that's why you see a lot of sequels now. Like it's very rare do you have anyone replace you, Ursa Miller, to just try to finish a movie. DC, you suck. But yeah, dude, like DC's doing worse than the Predator movies. So it's kind of like a letdown in a sense of like no Arnold Schwarzenegger in there, but it was okay. I mean, it had potential. It was in the city.
The urban jungle.
Okay, Joe lost me at City Predators. Come on, bro. I know
Yeah.
you didn't make that up yourself,
Nope.
but you should have just been like, you know what? I'm not going to say this out loud.
Yeah.
City Predators.
Yeah. So basically, they're like people that aren't in the tribe. I can't pronounce the name. It's like a Urugi or something. I can't remember the name of the tribe, of the Predator tribe. But basically, they're separated from the regular tribe, and that's what they just go hunt together. Is what they do.
That was in the movie?
Yeah. No. That's just like that's just me like getting lost in a predator rabbit hole to figure out some other stuff because I was interested in like why are these type of predators here, and so basically like each one of those kind of type of predators where they have their own ship, basically they're their own chief. So you have the main chief, and we saw two of them twice. So basically, and they're two different chiefs or two different tribes. So basically, you saw the one in the Alien versus Predators, which the whole ship died. Where Rashawn said the little sister that almost killed or kissed the Predator, she was able to meet one of the chiefs, and as well as Danny Glover, which is weird because it seems like only the brothers and sisters get to meet the Predators, which is good because all Black people die in horror movies, so it's good to see that they live to the end to see the main Predator. Kudos to them.
So yeah, at the end of that, didn't the Predator award him for killing a predator? Like he gave him some kind of trophy or something?
Yes,
Like
which we'll talk about that when we get to the very final movie.
Right.
Yeah.
But also that reminds me, I don't know if you guys ever read the Batman Predator comic.
I'm surprised you remember that. You didn't watch the movie, but you remember the gun.
I do remember
Anyways.
that. 1990, I was probably in a movie theater.
TikTok saved you.
TikTok saved me. No, but the Batman Predator comic book kind of happened. Batman's like, I got a plan for this. And he took out the Predator at the very end. He's like, oh man, that's a lot of ships coming. One pulls up and he's like, here. He's like, thanks. And they fly off. So,
He just basically mentioned two franchises that are making crappy movies right now, DC and the Predator.
You're the one who brought up DC.
True. So, I hated this movie. I was a Schwarzenegger fan around that time, and I didn't want to see Danny Glover. To me, when I would see Danny Glover, I would think like, that guy reminds me of my dad, and my dad can't beat up predators. I love my dad, and my dad's a badass Marine, but I don't think my dad's taking out no predators. So,
hey, you never know, bro. You never know, man.
I couldn't get into it. Now I know that there's, by the way, Replica Pro Wrestling is co-signing with Joe. You can co-sign with Joe all you want. It still sounds silly. Some city predators.
You got to remember, though, the Danny Glover around that time, he was in Lethal Weapon, so he's kind of hot, bro, as far as like being in movies. So I think that's why they probably couldn't get Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Danny Glover at the time was doing the Lethal Weapon franchise. They're like, hey, why not?
But Danny Glover was the one who's like about to retire, right? He's like, 2 more weeks and I'm retiring. It's like they could have probably got somebody younger. They could have got Stallone. They had the Schwarzenegger money to roll with. They could have gotten Van Damme.
You know, Van Damme was actually supposed to be the Predator inside the Predator suit in the first Predator movie, which we'll get to in just a moment. Yeah, that's sort of a trivia fact. He was supposed to be the man in the suit, but for whatever reason, he wasn't. Joe's going to tell us why in just a moment. Yeah, so Predator 2, they had City Predators. This anonymous Facebook user would like to take a moment and defend DC. DC has a few good movies, bro, in spite of all the craziness. Now, I'm going to point something out. If you would actually stand behind your DC comment, you wouldn't be anonymous. So there's that. And Bill Paxton killed a Terminator, Alien, and a Predator, which is the hat trick of 90s things to kill. So that's pretty damn cool.
Oh.
Gentlemen, are you ready to move on to the movie that started it all?
Yeah.
And Alfonso still didn't see Predator.
It's the Body Ventura.
Alfonso,
Yes, sir.
tell us about this movie.
Dude, I
What were
watched
your
the
thoughts?
movie a million times. A million times. Yeah, you know, you got this. Do you have your little synopsis? The ragtag group of heroes.
You know what? I will actually do that for you. Thanks very much, Alfonso. So here we go. It's not a ragtag group of heroes. It's a team of commandos on a mission in Central American jungle find themselves hunted by an extraterrestrial warrior. Starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Kevin Peter Hall, and Elpidia Carrillo.
Man, Jesse the Body Ventura didn't get no tag in that.
Jesse Body Ventura and my uncle Bill Duke, none of them got any sort of credit.
Apollo Creed was there. Man, that Predator didn't have a chance.
Well, that's the most famous handshake of all time, you know.
Dude, it's a gif. It's a gif.
Yeah,
It really is.
yeah.
That's what it's from.
Yeah.
Yeah, Predator it's this iconic cult classic. You know, you've got Arnold Schwarzenegger at the peak of his career, you know, probably fresh off Commando, going in to be another Commando, right? You've got this alien nobody's ever seen before with this face, and it's like the clicking sounds and the little 3-dot laser things. It was some good stuff. You know, it's like the whole time the Predator just wants to hunt what's hardest to hunt, and he's taking everybody down left and right. Schwarzenegger realizes that somehow there's some kind of thermal scan that he's doing, so he covers himself in mud and comes out of the mud and slices it up and gets his bomb, blows him up, and bam, ready to go.
That's not bad. Replica Pro Wrestling or Pro Collector, help me out here, Joe and Alfonso. Get to the choppa. That was not
Yes, it
Predator, was it? Was
Yes, it was.
Was it?
The chopper.
What? Or was it Commando?
No, well, it was both, but he also he did it in that movie to the Latin girl that was there. He was like, like when it was just those two left, he had, and the other dude had just got shot by the laser, and he's like, get to the chopper, and he's trying to lead him away.
Nice,
Basically.
come on, Alfonso, come on, do it.
Get to the chopper.
Yes.
Wow. So yeah, so the Facebook user, aka
Predator.
aka Paul McGill. DC has a few good movies. If you're talking about the animation, I do agree with you.
Yes.
But yeah, we know your name, so yeah, it's not nobody's fault anymore. We know your name, Paulie.
Hey, Paulie.
Replica Pro Collector, I stand corrected. Schwarzenegger did encourage people to get to the choppa while being chased by the Predator. Let's see here. I love this movie, like absolutely loved it. It was one of those movies that I just wanted to watch over and over again. Let's see here. Alfonso's got himself some bootleg. Is that X-23?
No, this is the Predator clause. I mean, I took the third one out for Wolverine, so it could be either.
Oh, okay.
Or Predator.
Or it could be X-23. So yeah, I just absolutely love this movie. Joe, overall thoughts? You're the expert now.
I don't know about all that. I actually enjoyed this movie because I remember as a kid when I was watching it, you only knew like Arnold Schwarzenegger was killing like dudes like in Commando, and like he was just an action hero. So when you see him in the jungle, you think he's gonna fight some guys, like which basically what they did with, when they took out that camp. That's the kind of movie I thought it was gonna be about. and it was totally different. It was like a predator that was camouflaged, and you're like, what the heck is this thing? Like, you don't even know what it looks like. And then to finally see what the predator looked like, you're like, what the hell? This thing is ugly. You know, you're thinking the whole thing is ugly. And then, you know, Arnold says it best. He says the same thing. He was hella ugly. But I thought it was pretty cool. Like, how are you going to kill someone that's camouflaged? He's taking out everybody. Jesse the Body, like all badasses. I mean, everybody in this group in their own right were really dope, dude. And this predator was taking them out one by one, dude. So it's like, it was very enjoyable because it was like basically hide and seek.
You know what I loved? What I loved is the fact that, you know, he's completely invisible, right? You can see the outline, whatever, but he's so invisible. And all of a sudden there's this big reveal and you see what the predator looks like. And then later on, his helmet comes off and you see what the predator, there's like, it's just constant reveals. It's like, whoa, you know, it would have been better, you know, even one more step if it opened up and there was a little tiny alien in there, but when you get that.
Yeah, it was dope because the whole time you're like, how is he going to kill him, dude?
Yeah.
You know, and then when he jumped in the water, like, oh, he's dead.
It's on.
You know, and then he just happened to, you know, like get in the mud and then all of a sudden I couldn't see him. I was like, dang, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was totally cool. Now, Amanda is like Alfonso. They can join the I've only seen one Predator movie club. Amanda says, I think this is the first one is the one that I saw because she remembers watching with her brother and her brother doing impressions of Arnold for weeks after they saw it. So, yeah, basically, maybe Alfonso and Amanda are brother and sister because couldn't you see Alfonso walking around for weeks doing Schwarzenegger impressions?
Oh,
It all comes together.
That would have been sweet.
Yeah, that would have been. So, ladies, gentlemen, and knights, it's time to bring it all together. It's time to discuss Prey. And the question which I posed at the beginning of the episode is, does Prey save the Predator franchise? Now, I'm going to turn it over to Alfonso first because Joe's about to knock us out of the park, okay? Alfonso, you tee it up, and then Joe's about to knock this out the park, ladies, gentlemen, and knights. Alfonso, what are your thoughts?
When I first heard of Prey, I didn't know it was a Predator franchise. I thought this was a franchise off, you know, the 2010 hit Eat, Pray, Love, and they were doing individual 3 movies, and we were going to get Eat and Love later, but no, that's a bad joke. I'm sorry. But yes, Prey. Prey is awesome. Got to give it up to my indigenous people. You know, I think it is going to save the franchise. I mean, they did so much with this movie that, you know, the hunters are being hunted by the hunter, and, you know, they turn it around, and it's the fight scenes were amazing. You know, a lot of people, you know, give her a lot of crap because, oh, well, Arnold Schwarzenegger could barely, you know, kill one. But, you know, she had the advantage of seeing it and seeing what it could do and seeing, you know, what's been done. And you know, just to give you a heads up, I mean, that Predator was injured the entire time. The green on her face right there is a Predator blood. You know, he fought and fought and fought. He got shot. He got stabbed. He got sliced. He got a bear maul him, you know, like to the ground. You know, he was stomped on. He did get up and he won that fight. But, you know, you got to realize this Predator was injured. He had a, you know, staff stuck right in his foot. You know, these Native Americans were taking it to him. And then finally, oh, and of course the French dudes, but finally, when she had to face him, she knew what was going on because the Predator didn't see her as a threat. And she was a threat. She was the threatiest. So I think it's going to save the franchise. Joe, your thoughts?
I don't think they were Native Americans yet, bro. They were just natives.
They're just American. No, it was
they were natives. They wasn't natives. Yeah,
they were Comanche, weren't they? Comanche.
Yes.
Right.
But basically, you go back to Paul's original question of why it wasn't in movie theaters, because when it was purchased from Fox, you remember how that's why you don't have the X-Men yet? There's that delay. Mm-hmm. So if they did release it in the movie theaters, any streaming service and stuff like that wouldn't be on Disney or Hulu. It would be on HBO Max. So the way that they bypassed that was to stream it on Hulu.
Mm.
Impressive. See, Joe just dropping the knowledge on us. Already knocking it out of the park. Alfonso teed it up. Joe said, boom. Okay, Joe. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I thought it was good. A lot of people were kind of like angry on how without technology, the natives was able to like kill the predator. So there was a lot of videos going around, like TikToks, very angry at that because they're like, but I thought her brother. I'm really bad at the name. I'm really bad at names, dude. but the brother, the reason why the predator was that much damage because the brother was badass.
Mm-hmm.
He was like their top hunter, man. And so basically, the dude did a lot of damage on that. The predator before his sister even, finished him off. But I thought it was good. It took you back to the original Predator for me, at the nostalgia for me. Like, I like that kind of time period, and I like the reset of that because basically it reset the Predator. Because, like I had told you in the previous, that Alien versus Predator, they kind of said they created man evolved and stuff like with technology and help build pyramids. Where this one negates that. So it kind of resets it, which I like, which I enjoyed because ain't no one trying to find those xenomorphs and aliens fighting each other anymore. I'd rather, and what it does is you can have different time periods. So you can have it fight natives. You can later on, if you want to do cowboys, you can do whatever you want. You could do Mayans, whatever you want to do. I like that. So I enjoyed it a lot from that aspect of the franchise.
I agree with Joe that the reset, okay, maybe it wasn't necessary, but it was dang good. It was really smart for them to reset because they just did so much stuff. And at some point, I mean, any science fiction show, movie can be corny, but the Predator franchise had just gotten corny. When they rolled out the Iron Predator, it was just, they'd gone too far. It was absolutely corny. So by going back to before everything else had happened, it gave us that clean slate. And it was just really great how they did that. I do have a concern. I've heard they're talking about doing a Predator and feudal Japan. Joe, I'm sure you've done the research, so feel free to correct me. They're talking about doing a Predator in feudal Japan. Here's my concern. At some point, people have to start losing. Like, I want to see a Predator where the Predator just wins. Because if the Predators keep going to Earth and everybody beats them, then they need to stop going to Earth,
Yeah.
So that's my thing is if they have all these quote unquote prequels, that's cool. But I feel like at some point, someone has to start losing against the Predators.
I have a thought on that. Okay, so predators, that's all they want to do is they want to hunt hunters, right? So maybe that the Earth is their rite of passage. Like if you can make it on Earth, you can make it anywhere. That's why they keep sending people back to Earth because they have to prove their worth as a predator. This is probably like level 3, level 1. They're on somewhere, hunting sheep, 2 wolves, whatever, and then finally they get to Earth and like you got to fight man, and man, the kill ratio is actually really, really in the predator's odds, right? So it's like, yeah, they're far superior. If they sent more than one, maybe if they made a predator movie called Predators with actual extra predators, that man can. Oh wait, no, they already did that. But sorry. One thing, we also have all this knowledge about the lore of the predator. We understand how it works and everything because we've seen all these movies, right? So I watched this movie with my daughter. 16 years old, right? Never seen a Predator movie. She's heard of them. That's about it. So she's like, oh, that's interesting. I go, what? She goes, well, it's scanning their weapons. And he goes, yeah. They're scanning the weapons to see if they're a threat. If they're a threat, then it's going to attack, right? It's not going to waste his time on nobody with no weapons. There's no thrill in the hunt. And she goes, no, she's scanning it's scanning the weapons so that it can use those weapons to fight on more of an even ground to give them a chance. And I'm like, well, that's right, because he scanned the weapons. Next thing you know, he's shooting arrows out of his wrist and not lasers, right? So it's kind of like a one-upsmanship. Like in Predator 1, they had guns shooting bullets. So he shot lasers. But this one, they're shooting arrows. He's shooting, stronger arrows, right? So give it more of a little level playing ground so that way it's fun for them, right? They're using spears. He had spears in the other movies, but he's using spears and two-handed, 2 weapons in one hand, knives and whatever. So it's kind of like more of a level playing ground to give the people a chance because any kind of predator doesn't want something that's too easy. So
I just don't think they just had lasers at that time period.
I mean, for an
It's a
advanced
seven-
human race to fly over from another, with a spaceship, I'm pretty sure, they
No,
probably have a lot more access.
no. That's why people were upset about that movie,
Yeah.
because they said the same thing you said right now. They should have lasers, but I don't think they did.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah, but I can see that. I kind of like your theory. I mean, it made a lot of sense to me.
I'm just going to throw this out there because it's what I do. People who were complaining about the movies
Mhm.
were, I believe the phrase I saw recently is neckbeards. No offense to anyone on this podcast who has a beard. They're not neckbeards. They're not neckbeards, gentlemen. But I feel like it's the same guys who complain because Captain Marvel is a
Mhm.
strong female character.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, oh, only guys can fight predators.
Mhm.
Oh, how can this woman beat a predator? Well, one of
Yeah.
the things that she kept saying is, he doesn't see me as a threat.
Mhm.
Right.
And that was sort of a message, which was why at the end of the movie, she
Mhm.
was surrounded by women and she became the warrior chief. Because up until that point, no one took her seriously, and everyone told her, you should just stay back in the tent and grind up
Mhm.
these herbs.
Yeah.
She was able to use her intelligence along with her warrior skill in
Mhm.
order to do both. So,
And she was good
um,
at tracking too.
yes, she was the complete warrior. Her
Mhm.
brother was just a straight up warrior. It's like you're playing D&D, right? He was like the knight, whereas
Mhm.
she was like a combination like cleric warrior, whatever that paladin. She was a paladin.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she was a much better warrior overall, but people disregarded her simply because she was a woman.
hmm Which I think is dope because because women are badasses, man.
Yeah, I
And
don't mess with
we
my
talk
wife. I
we
know better.
we talk about it all the time. It wasn't forced, right? So it came off naturally. She's a tracker. She wanted to be a hunter. She's pretty dope. People were like, "How's she gonna kill the predator and not a bear?" And I'm just like, bro, if the predator had lasers, it'd be over. So what's your argument now? Oh, they had lasers. If the predator had lasers, I mean, someone's always going to argue about something, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, it wasn't forced, and she is dope, dude.
Yes.
She's dope, and the brother was dope. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, like, dude, brother was so dope. He was shooting the predator with the same arrow.
Yes.
He would slide by, pick up the arrow, shoot him again, slide by again, grab another arrow, hit him again. Dude, the dude had to go camouflage, bro. So Alfie, that's why I think to the point that you were trying to make, oh, they're making it an evil level field. If that's the case, you wouldn't have camouflage. If that's the case where you get your ass kicked, you're not gonna go camouflage and stab my boy in the stomach and kill him. So you know what I mean, dude? I just think they didn't have lasers at the time. I don't think they didn't have that yet. 1700.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. But like it was dope because the brother and sister was tag teaming it for a while.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
I mean, even the two guys before the brother and sister started fighting him, those guys were taking it to him, right? They were, it was still camouflage. They were still ducking, coming underneath, slicing them up, chopping them up here and there, stabbing them in the foot. Those guys took it to him. You got to give those guys some props. So, man, those skinny little guys were tearing it up.
I agree. I feel like getting back to the initial question, does this movie save the Predator franchise? I'm very reluctant to say yes because I feel like hype. I hate hype. Like, oh my God, this is so good and it's hype. But I feel like it does because I feel like you didn't have these big muscle bound characters. I've got 100 guns and I'm going to use them and all this other nonsense. I feel like this movie gave us a fresh take on the Predators because I feel like this was a much slimmer, more agile Predator than the other Predators that didn't rely on technology. It gave us a much better idea of what it takes to beat a Predator.
Yeah.
I think it does save the franchise.
Yeah, it does. I mean, look at the past movies. After 2. I mean, you didn't even like 2. But if you go like to the next few movies, it's besides the Predators wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Where they were in the jungle. The writers, they tried that and it didn't work. Or, if they would have just did it a little bit better, I think it might have worked. I mean, look at Prey. That's what they did. I mean, it got better.
Yeah.
And so I think it does bring the franchise back and resets it. Because if you look at the end of Predator 2, the guy's initials on that gun, basically, like, I don't know if it was in a comic or whatever, probably I think it was a comic or a book, but basically the Predator, like the guy, he was a boat. They were fighting predators, and then the Predator he gave the gun to the Predator for helping him, because I get kind of the same thing with the sister. They were helping each other fight, like whoever it was. I didn't care too much for it, so I didn't really go that detail into reading it. But basically, that's how that Predator got the gun. But with them resetting it, it almost, you have to think like, she has the gun now. So does the Predator come back, kill her, and get the gun? Or does the Europeans come in, kill her, and grab the gun? And then the Predators get the gun back? So you have to, those are the kind of questions you have to wonder, like, how are they going to do that? Or if they reset it, then the main guy wasn't the guy that I was telling you that was on the boat. It was the French guy that was his initials on the thing, and he died, and she has a gun. But do you connect it with Predator 2? Or you just act like Predator 2 never existed and Predator 1 never existed, and you start over again?
See, I feel like they've done such a good job that they can
Mhm.
connect it back together.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like, because there's all this time that they can work with, because like Joe, you talked about cowboys, they got feudal Japan, they've got the Mayans. There's so many stories that they can tell, intelligent stories
Mhm.
between the Schwarzenegger movie and Prey. They can probably go before Prey, but there's all these different options that they have that they never thought of before, where they don't have to rely so much on like bigger explosions and more special effects. Just keep it basic and tell a good story with characters
Mhm.
that you like.
Hey,
Yeah.
I got a question for you guys. Remember when the guy was, all chopped up and he was dying, so she gave him some of that flour, and he was all freezing, and the guy's like, "Well, I want to keep, let's cover him up." She goes, "No, you gotta let him stay cold." And he's like, "Well, would you rather him be uncomfortable or die?" But whatever that was, it broke his fever, but it also made him very cold. Do you think she was? I don't know if they saw. Maybe I missed it, but was she eating those flowers to keep her body temperature down?
Yeah.
Oh, so they did go over that.
Yes.
Mhm. That's why she's dope. She's a dope. You know what I mean? That's what made her dope.
Yeah.
That was smart.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love a strong female character that's badass like that. That's not forced upon me. Like, bro, like, we're all here. We all need to be equal. Shoot, I'm still waiting for a Pacific Islander superhero, which there is none in DC or Marvel. None.
Isn't the Rock Pacific Islander?
Yeah, Pacific Islanders play superheroes in the movies, but you don't have a Pacific Islander as a superhero. So I'm all for like characters that aren't forced, and I wouldn't want them to force a Pacific Islander superhero.
Right.
That's going to be bad. I want it to come naturally, and this is what's natural. She was very natural, and she was dope.
Yeah.
Now, to what Alan has said earlier, I would be okay. Now, follow me. I would be okay if they did send another Predator down, right? And they kill her. That's how they get the gun. Right? Maybe more than one, like to your point, Alfie. And that's how they get the gun, and it retcons to like Predator 2. That's how they got the gun. And then make it to where, but they don't get it in the beginning, but at the end of the movie, where to your point, Alan, a Predator does win and the humans don't win. And, you get the gun, it connects to Predator 2.
Yeah. I like that. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, she goes down swinging.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a perfect way to do it, right? But
Mhm.
it sets everything up, which would be really cool. So, let me ask you guys sort of, not final question, but as we, get near the end of the broadcast, where do you rank Prey in the total Predator franchise?
I'm gonna go with number 2.
Because I've only seen 2.
Exactly. I would say it was a better movie. It was a better movie than the original Predator, but the original Predator holds a place in my heart because that movie got me through some. I've only seen Dukes is on mute, busting a gut, man. It's okay. I understand that was funny. I'm just out of 2. You know.
Oh my goodness, dude. Paul says he thinks the original one runs neck to neck with the original one with Prey.
Ooh, that's a bold statement, Paul.
You know what, dude?
Um,
Challenge.
You know what? I wouldn't be mad at that. You take out Arnold Schwarzenegger for your love for Arnold Schwarzenegger. What would you think that movie would be? If it was somebody else playing that wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger, not being biased, what would you think? Just some other character playing.
Right.
What if it was Jesse the Body Ventura, the main character?
Oh, come on.
Okay.
That's not.
I look at it like this. Sometimes we ask a member of the broadcast to rank his favorite TV shows, movies, something like that, and he goes, I can't pick one. They're neck and neck. I don't know. They're all good. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Prey is definitely a better movie.
Then what?
Predator has this
It has Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, it's because it's just a cult classic, and it's a
It
part
is.
of DNA now. You know what I mean?
It is.
Prey is a very good movie. It's an awesome movie, but
Mhm.
Predator is a part of my DNA. I'm the man I am today because of that movie, or whatever.
It's only maybe 5% of your DNA.
5%. You know, just to give the chop, just the handshake, just the grab and the flex. You know, we do that all the time.
Hey, whatever it takes.
Mhm.
Okay, so Paul has just started a riot here in the broadcast, saying it's neck and neck, and suddenly Joe and the X-Man are jumping on the bandwagon. I'm still going to say I felt like the first Predator. Oh, by the way, did you notice all the callbacks between like the first Predator and Prey? Like when she was up against the like the what is it? Not a bush, kind of like a bush in the water.
Yeah.
And stuff like
Mhm.
that. Or obviously when the brother says, "If it bleeds, we can kill it."
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so many great callbacks. You know, it's
Mhm.
like one of those things where they're Easter eggs. If you
Yeah.
know it, you know it. If you don't,
Mhm.
you love the movie anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that I feel like Predator had more tension. And I feel like because one of the things that Joe talked about was all the people in Predator were badasses in their own right.
Mhm.
All the people in Predator had heavy machine guns and were shaving with knives and, chopping down brush and shrubbery and stuff like that with like their teeth and their bare hands. So when the Predator actually started killing these folks and they're like just gutted, it's like, whoa, this is crazy.
Mhm.
Whereas I felt like Prey was good, but didn't have that same intensity and drama for me. So I'm gonna say Predator, then Prey, and don't watch the rest.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like to Prey. Maybe it's just because it's fresh in my head. But I would go Prey, Predator 1, and then Predator 2.
You know what? You know what Prey
The
is
rest
missing?
are bad.
You know what Prey is missing? It has no quotable cult classic lines. You know what I mean? You know, Predator has "Get to Choppa." It has, I mean, they did copy the if it bleeds, we can kill it, but it doesn't have its own that's one thing I love about a movie.
That's Arnold Schwarzenegger, though, bro. Like he probably said, "I'm gonna say that in this movie," so you can't really use that argument because that's all Arnold Schwarzenegger because he does all those quotes in every movie he's in.
And that's fine too, but it's like all those 80s movies, they always had something so quotable. I mean, it just didn't have something where you're going to be like, I'll be back,
Bro, you're natives in the 1700s. There ain't gonna be no quotable other than if it bleeds, we can kill it. You can't, you know what I mean? You can't really say too much more than that.
What are they going to put on the t-shirt, right? Eat, pray, love. No.
Yeah, but the thing about it is the movie speaks for itself. They didn't have to do any memorable quotes.
Yeah, they don't.
I
they don't
mean,
need the cheesy
it
stuff.
has us talking about whether or not it saves a franchise. That's how good the movie was. So it doesn't need any memorable lines because the movie was just good in itself.
No, it doesn't need it. I need it.
I feel like Joe's never ever loved a movie so much in his life. Like Joe is just so passionate about this movie. He's like, it saved the franchise. It doesn't need quotables. She's the best hero, or she's the best main person in a Predator movie ever. Joe just loved this movie so much.
Because it took me back to the original movie. I think that's why. because the original movie was so good. And so what it does is rekindle me. Well, let me go watch the old Predator movies that suck. Maybe I saw it wrong. Yeah, I didn't see it wrong. Paul said, how about when she tells the dog next time you're cooking? That's a good line.
All right.
That's a good line. That's a good line. We
Yeah.
can put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we should. You know, hey, did you guys ever think for a second, is that Aubrey Plaza from Parks and Rec? No. Aubrey Plaza? No. She's, never mind.
We didn't watch that. I have to play the Alfie on that.
Ingrid Goes West. She's in a lot of stuff. She's freaking awesome. She's just like this dull, never mind.
So basically, at this point, we have 3 people. Of those who have voted, 3 people saying that this is the best Predator movie, neck and neck. We're going to say Paul says it's the best ever. Amanda comes in and says Predator is the best because that's the only one she's ever seen. But that's the same way Alfonso votes. So that's 1 vote for Predator, or 2 votes for Predator, 3 for Prey. So there you go. Replica Pro Collector is staying out of the fray and is not going to tell us if Prey is better than the original Predator.
I get yelled at for that.
Yeah, you do. Make up your mind.
Make a movie.
If
Arnold told you to get in a chopper, you'd be like, oh, do I get in a chopper or do I keep running? I don't know. They're both the same. I could run and get there, or I can take the chopper. I just don't know.
Well, ladies, gentlemen, and knights of the Nerd World Order, it has been a pleasure hanging out with you all today. This concludes this episode of the Nerd World Order broadcast. So until next time, I am NWO.
We are NWO.
Nerds Redefined. Booyah. And we out.